Welcome to Player's Choice. And this is the PCL playoffs. We are finally here. You see this good belt. This is what all the bragging rights and all the marbles are for. This and a nice lump sum cash prize to the winner. Now, we got 4 battles today, and we got 4 battles on Sunday. So you guys go ahead, strap in your seatbelt, put in your destination, and we are going to take you on a ride of your life to the championship. Today we have the round of 16. We are going to start with my man Jack Cody and Mars Blackman. That's the number 1 seed and the 16th seed. The next matchup will be a heavyweight fight between the number 6 seed Penn and the number 11 seed Hayes. And then we got Pirate and Casual. This is one of the more balanced matchups that we will get today. And last but not least, I got Chilltown Hoops versus OG the Beast. So, with no further ado, we're going to go ahead and get straight into this. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long season. Well, it was kind of a short season, but it felt very long. But we are finally here, the moment you've all been waiting for. So let's go ahead and get into it with no further ado. Jack, my man, what's going on?
I feel like I got the ultimate Jason Tatum treatment. Is that what you want to call it? Do we have a bunch of Curries in the chat? I'm the 16th seed, and I'm happy to be here.
Hey, Jack, it got to be a bunch of Pacers fans. It got to be a bunch of Jokic guys, Luka guys. That's who it is. It's Luka guys in the chat.
It's called. That's what it is.
I figured that was the case. But Jack, we're here with the playoffs, and so you guys know we do have actual judges now, so it will be a little more balanced in terms of giving you the voting and the credit and the stability that you may need with the judges. Also, chat, you guys still do get a live vote, so exercise that. And once again, I'm gonna give you guys a bit of our judging criteria that you should go on. Logical points. Go with who makes who presents good arguments and makes logical points and paints an effective picture for you guys. Facts. Go with who provides good facts. So whether that's statistics, examples, contextual information, just solid evidence to support their arguments. Rebuttals, counterpoints, and multi-level arguments. Who is basically responding to their opponent's arguments and using good counterpoints and multi-level arguments too. If you're just arguing one point as opposed to somebody arguing multiple valid points, that should give them more of an edge in this. Persuasion. Who is, making their arguments convincing and believable. Delivery. Who has a good speaking style, clarity, confidence, who's engaging, who's entertaining and whatnot. And yes, entertaining is one of them. Who's entertaining, who's engaged, who adds a little bit of humor, energy, and all of that good stuff. Who's dynamic and lively. And last but not least, chat, be objective. Don't vote on who you like. Vote on who makes the better point. With nothing else to be said, here goes Mars. What's up, man? How you feeling today?
I'm tired, man. I'm very tired. Very tired. Because it's Thursday, Ron.
I don't know why it's a day ahead, but happy Thursday. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into it. My man JD's gonna cue up the screen, and we are going to get into round 1. Fellas, good luck. May the best man win. Mars, it's going to be on you for round 1. And the first topic of the PCL round of 16 playoffs is who is the better sidekick? Jamal Murray or Tyrese Maxey? Mars, your time will start when you start.
I think you got to start with the pressure they both put on defenses, because I think what makes, for me, the most valuable thing you can do on offense is create advantages and then also continue advantages. Tyrese Maxey's relentlessness and ability to get downhill is something that Jamal Murray lacks, and that's why he puts a lot more pressure on defenses in terms of coming off dribble handoff. So just his speed and attack, able to collapse defenses and kick out. Surprisingly, on doing research for this, Tyrese Maxey led the league in hockey assists. And the reason he does that is because of the amount of pressure he puts on defenses and putting them in rotation, where that gets the Sixers a lot of open shots. That's something Jamal Murray doesn't really do because he operates a lot more in the mid-range. And we know just statistically, the mid-range is the least efficient shot in the game. And if teams aren't really going to collapse their defense to deal with that threat, you don't put the defense in rotation as often as Tyrese Maxey does. So Tyrese Maxey just operates on areas of the floor that just put more of an onus on defenses to have to rotate and scramble and create open looks for himself and his teammates. That also goes to his speeds, just him being so dangerous downhill off the dribble handoffs and stuff. That's like a perfect complement to not only Embiid, but just offenses in general. When you have someone who makes decisions as quickly as Tyrese Maxey does, it doesn't take away from anyone else. While Jamal Murray might probe and pound the ball a bit more, Tyrese Maxey does everything so quickly and it puts defenses on the back foot. And that's why I think he's so dangerous. And that's something I don't think Jamal Murray can really live up to. He's more of an isolationist, takes more time. Whereas I think Tyrese Maxey is constantly putting pressure on defenses in a way that Jamal Murray just simply can't match up to. So that's why I think he's the better sidekick.
Jack, round one. Talk to us, my friend.
I think you see the shot he makes in this year's playoffs and the hype real. But what Jamal Murray has shown us over the course of his career, and more specifically in the playoffs, he has been the reason at times for why Denver has succeeded. It's obviously a team game, but we put all this love and spotlight to Nikola Jokic when in reality, you got to look at Jamal Murray as a guy who puts this team over the hump title. I asked myself the question of how did Denver just win this title? Because yeah, Jokic is great. All the MVPs are one thing, but we always talk about who's the better big man in the game. And Jokic has the vote right now, but between Embiid and Jokic, what's kind of the separator in that argument? I think the separator is what Jamal Murray brings to the table, which will then make Nikola Jokic look like a better basketball player than Joel Embiid. But a lot of the times I look at Embiid as a more dominant, better basketball player. So then you're like, well, why does Philly not win? And then Denver wins the title a year ago because of Jamal Murray. It's a Jamal Murray thing. And when you look back a few years ago to when Steph Curry took out the Nuggets in round one, they're a first round exit without Jamal Murray.
There you have it. Mars. It's time for round two.
Before I get into my point, I want to make sure everyone understood what was just said. Jack just spent a minute and a half saying, because I think Embiid's better than Jokic, that must mean Denver wins because of Jamal Murray. That's what just happened. So just make sure you guys kept track of that. That's what just happened.
Yes, that's what I said.
I just want to make sure we're all aware. No, you're good. But yeah, I think both of these guys operate in terms of the actions they run very similarly in terms of like the dribble handoffs and stuff, but they both use them very differently. Jamal Murray will use them to try to get to the elbow and get to jumpers, or he'll find Jokic in the pocket where Jokic will start throwing lobs to people and whatever. But Tyrese Maxey, back to my first point, he uses that dribble handoff as a runway to get downhill. And we all know the most dangerous thing you can do in the half court is probably put pressure on the rim. Tyrese Maxey just being relentless in doing that is something that Jamal Murray just doesn't match up to. Also, Tyrese Maxey being such a capable catch and shoot player is something that I think gets slept on a lot. He shot 42% on a half. 42.5% on spot up threes this year. But he also, what's more dangerous instead of just catching and shooting threes is the leverage you have with that. And Tyrese Maxey's ability to attack closeouts. And then once again, I'm going to keep harping on this. Getting downhill is something Jamal Murray just doesn't match up to. Jamal Murray shoots 39% on all twos after attacking the closeout, because he just doesn't have the leverage to get inside and finish and attack defense in the way that Tyrese Maxey does, who shoots 47% in those situations. That's why I think Tyrese Maxey is the more valuable player. He just attacks on more valuable spots on the floor as opposed to what Jamal Murray does.
All right, Jack, your time will start when you do.
That's fair. I mean, I think what Maxey does, his ability to put insane amounts of pressure on the defense right when you step on the court. He shoots the ball from very deep. But I look at Jamal Murray's game, I look at it as something that I can rely on. And although I could maybe say I could rely on Tyrese Maxey in this current moment, I think what we've seen out of Jamal Murray is a better sample size. And ultimately, I'm going to go back to the duo aspect of all of this because it is a team game. And I think whoever you get drafted for, that's what you get. You get what you get. And you don't get upset. And I think when Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic are on the court together, they are, other than Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, the best duo in the NBA. See, and for Joel Embiid, it's never been about them as a duo. I'm sorry, but respectfully, Joel Embiid has been better without a Tyrese Maxey. Joel Embiid has been a better version of himself at times when Maxey was not necessarily the best version of himself this season. But I brought up a few years ago when Jamal Murray was not on the court against the Golden State Warriors. Jokic, he was fine. He was decent. He was dominant. There was a reason why Denver won the title. And it was because they had as Jamal Murray. There you have it.
Yo, Jack, you kind of going in and out a little bit. So if you could fix that, that'll probably, bode a little more well for you throughout the rest of the battle. Mars, round 3 of this first topic. Let's hear it.
He said Jamal Murray's more reliable, but then I guess I got to pose the question. How reliable are you if we can't rely on you to be there? A big part of your argument is that they lost without Jamal Murray in the playoffs and then they won with him. But the fact that he's not there in the playoffs diminishes your value as a sidekick. Tyrese Maxey, I can trust he's going to be available. Jamal Murray, I mean, this past postseason, you're going to say he was hurt. The year before, the 2023, he missed the playoffs. 2021, he wasn't there. Like, how reliable of a sidekick are you if I can't even rely on you to be there in the playoffs? Tyrese Maxey, I know he's going to be there. So, I mean, that just automatically gives him an edge. But once again, back to the dangerous spots on the floor, Tyrese Maxey has a better floater game statistically, and in the playoffs is just much better. 43% in the regular season, 47% in the postseason. Jamal Murray was 36% and then 32% in the postseason. And then once again, like I keep harping on, creating easy opportunities on the most dangerous parts of the floor. Transition. Tyrese Maxey is one of the most dangerous transition guards in the NBA. Being able to get easy opportunities, especially in the postseason when defenses tighten up, being able to maximize those opportunities. Tyrese Maxey is one of the best guards in the league at that, whether that's in the regular season with 1.25 points per possession or in the postseason where it's 1.17 points per possession. Jamal Murray is at 1.06 points per possession in the regular season and 0.96 in the postseason. He's not making the most of his transition opportunities. He's not making the most of when he attacks closeouts. He's not making the most of floater range. He's not making the most of playing off other people. He's not making the most of attacking the paint. He's barely ever available. Maxey clears.
All right, Jack, round 3. Talk to us.
I don't know how the quality is, the audio is right now.
You good? It sounds good.
Well, I think to wrap up this Jamal Murray versus Tyrese Maxey debate, to me, it's about winning. To me, it's about what you've done and then what you're going to do in the future and kind of having that little prediction of the future. But take the future out of this. What Jamal Murray has done, he's one of the greatest second options of all time, period. And Tyrese Maxey has just stepped into the league. And although aggressive to pick and roll out of Jamal Murray, the way that he's able to work with a big man, in my eyes, he benefits Jokic. He helps Jokic more than Tyrese Maxey helps Joel Embiid. I feel like they don't work as well together, and that has more to do with what Jamal Murray does than what Jokic does, because Jamal Murray is a facilitator. He finds a way to create offense as a scorer. I get that both of them do that, but then when it all translates to winning, I'm not going to see Tyrese Maxey do shit against the ball or anybody. And in a year where you're expecting Philadelphia, everyone's injured. Obviously, Embiid was struggling with injuries, but he always does. In a year where you expected Philadelphia to make a run in the playoffs, they did. Yeah, he hit a big shot. He also struggled at times. I understand somebody that struggled during these playoffs, but when Murray was there to play, they were a better team, and it was very obvious that they benefit due to the play of Jamal Murray.
Okay, that is the conclusion of topic 1. Who's the better sidekick, Jamal Murray or Tyrese Maxey? Chat, you guys already know what time it is right now. You get over to the polls and vote on who you believe made the better argument. So you got about a minute and 15 seconds to do that. In the meantime, I will be getting the votes from our trusted judges. So, as this is coming in, we will go ahead and get a chance to prepare for our second topic of the day, which will be who's the better point guard? Ja Morant or Jalen Brunson? That's our second topic of the day. So, the judges should be chiming in right now. Chat, you guys already know the drill, as well as the judges. I kind of let you know before this battle. I'm gonna let you know again. Judge with all objectivity and just fairness in general. Who made the better points? Who was more entertaining? Who had the better delivery? Whose argument was more persuasive? Who had rebuttals, counterpoints, multi-level arguments? Who provided facts? And ultimately, who was just logical through and through? Chat, make sure you guys are liking the video. Make sure you are subscribing. I see Gifted in the chat. What's going on, Gifted? Can't wait for your battle on Sunday. And we're gonna continue to have a good day. Oh, and this just in, ladies and gentlemen, there will be no fourth battle today. Chilltown apparently has a bye.
Oh, no.
I'll get back to you guys more with facts about that, but I'm waiting for the judges to chime in, and I'm looking at the live poll right now. Just a second while this is coming in. So it looks like on the live poll, Mars won 86-13.
Bias.
All right, still waiting for one of the judges to chime in, but
These unprofessional judges, man, delaying my time. I got places to be.
and where is that, Mars?
The rec center, man. I don't know. Man. I got places to be.
All right, cool. All right. Mars, you took that round. Now we are moving on to the next round. Mars is up 1-0. On to the second topic. Who's the better point guard? Ja Morant or Jalen Brunson? It will be on you first, Jack. Talk to us.
Well, I think if you look statistically at how each point guard has led their team, and more specifically each of their best, the team as a player, whatever you want to say, Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies were a number 2 seed. They obviously lose to Golden State, who then goes on to win the title that year. Ja gets hurt in that series, but that series, the previous series, and seeing Anthony Edwards versus Ja Morant, and at the time it was popular that Ja Morant was the better player than Anthony Edwards. And I think nowadays, like, everyone talks about Anthony Edwards, Ja Morant goes through a bunch of stuff, gets injured, and kind of finds his way not necessarily on the talk shows and in the media every single day. And it became an Anthony Edwards spotlight. And I think people just tend to forget and use the recency bias of it all. And I know this isn't an versus Ja Morant debate, but at a few years ago, Ja Morant was considered a top 10 player in the league. I don't think Jalen Brunson has been considered a top 10 player in the league ever. And if you want to say he is, you're wrong. If you want to say he's a top 5 point guard, you're wrong. I look at Ja Morant and his ability as a basketball player as a unicorn. Ja Morant is a unicorn. On the other hand, he's a good player, but at times he's a liability. Durant is a superstar and he jumps out the gym, whereas Jalen Brunson.
All right, Jack, that's the conclusion of your round. He just cooked up on Mars. Let's see if Mars can rebuttal for topic 2, round 1. Talk to us.
Friendly word of advice. You might want to not use half your time talking about Anthony Edwards. Just pointer. But I want to start with just talking about the impact both of these guys have on their teams. Obviously, we both know they're both spearheads in great offense, and neither one of them are going to provide much value on defense. And obviously, the Grizzlies had the worst offense in the league this season, and Ja missed basically the whole year. So you can point to that and be like, Ja has tremendous offensive impact. And I would agree with that. But what I find more interesting is that the Knicks this year had the number 7 7 ranked offense. But with Jalen Brunson on the court, they had the equivalent of the number 2 ranked offense, only behind the Boston Celtics. But then when he was off the floor, they had the equivalent of the 28th ranked offense in the NBA. Now, technically, that is still worse than that's still better than what the Grizzlies offense was this year. But then when you look at the fact that Jalen Brunson has a 14-point differential offensively, and Ja Morant only had a 3-point differential his last healthy season in 2022, you start to notice that one guy is probably impacting his team's offensive chances a bit more than the other, despite the fact both teams aren't great offensively without them. So I think that's where I got to start with it, just saying Jalen Brunson is clearly, I think, the more impactful offensive player. You saw it this season when he had to be thrust into that heliocentric role, his ability to floor raise that offense to levels that, frankly, Ja Morant's never been able to do with Memphis. Memphis have never been to the level of offense that the Knicks were with Jalen Brunson on the court this year. I know they were a top 5 offense, but when the difference is as negligible as it was with him on and off the court, that's not because of him. Jalen Brunson is carrying the Knicks to a top 7 offense, as told by the fact they're number 28 without him.
Jack, round 2. Let's do it. Hold on, Jack. Hold on.
Are we good now?
Yeah, you ready to go?
I'm going to bring it back to Anthony Edwards. We're going to talk about Anthony Edwards the entire time again. No, I'm actually going to talk about the Boston Celtics. And I'm going to say that if Ja Morant was on the New York Knicks and Jalen Brunson was not, you took him off the team. So you go Ja Morant on the Knicks, playing against the Celtics in 2024, 2025. Give me the New York Knicks. I'm going to take the New York Knicks in that series. If Ja Morant was on the New York Knicks and Jalen Brunson was not on that team, they would beat the best team in the NBA in the Boston Celtics. What Ja Morant is a superstar. If I want a point guard, I'm going to take Morant over Brunson because of the athletic ability, but there's something about star power versus Jalen Brunson is a nitty-gritty point guard, ball handler, can shoot the mid-range game. I want somebody explosive. And I think the Knicks are a really good team at this point in time that if you were to put Morant on there, he would create kind of like an impact outlier role for the Knicks to then beat the Boston Celtics. And respectfully, if you put Brunson on the Memphis Grizzlies, they finish last place again. So, and then you throw Derek White on the New York Knicks and they're a first place team as well.
Valid points right there. Valid. Mars, what's your rebuttal to that?
Ron is such an enabler. I don't think I need to spend time refuting that. That's cool. But I want to bring up what they actually both do in the playoffs, and somehow Ja Morant would elevate the Knicks over the Celtics or something. Jalen Brunson is what we call in this business of basketball. He's a playoff riser. That's what we know him as. He shows up in the big moments, the killer will, all of those things. But away from just like, oh, he's mentally strong, there's actually tangible reasons for why he is a playoff riser. He dominates in the areas of the court that defenses can't take away in the postseason, whether that be floater range, whether that just be outside of the restricted area in the paint, those 2-point pull-up jumpers, catch and shoot threes, getting to the line, all of those things he excels at. In the regular season, he shoots 55% on floaters. In the postseason, that's 46%, both of which elite marks, especially when you categorize for postseason defenses. In the paint non-restricted area, he's 53%, and in the postseason, 47%. Once again, both elite marks. He shoots 44% on his mid-range jumpers in the postseason, 44% on catch and shoot threes. He is elite from all areas of the court that defenses can't take away, alongside getting to the line 9 times a game in the postseason. Ja Morant notoriously struggles from a bunch of those areas. In his postseason career, the last postseason he was just healthy in, he shot 14% on floaters, 29% on 2-point jumpers, and 29% on catch and shoot threes, while shooting 27% in the paint outside the restricted area. Ja Morant is someone who struggles in the areas that defenses can't take away and relies on trying to get to the rim relentlessly. And when that isn't falling for him, you see his playoff efficiency drop. Jalen Brunson, on the other hand, you can't take his efficiencies away. That's why he's the better player.
All right, Jack.
I just think,
on you.
Yeah, I think what as a point guard versus what as a point guard and how a defense game plans for both of those guys. It's harder to game plan for Ja Morant, the freak of nature, versus Jalen Brunson, superstar for the New York Knicks last season. And obviously you get Mikal Bridges this year, and they're a lot better than what they were with a lot of injuries in the playoffs last year to where they are this coming season. But I look at Jalen Brunson and how a defense guards Jalen Brunson. I say, go do your thing. You can score 40 points. That's not going to hurt us if Jalen Brunson goes out there and scores 30 to 40 points. I think it's better if you limit his playmaking ability and you let him score. It's kind of similar to, Luka Doncic. Let him score 37 points, but you have to limit everything else. You have to shut down everybody else. But I think what Ja Morant does and what he can create, a defense, you can't game plan for that. All you can do is hope for the best in front, hope you can throw a few double teams, but it's going to leave other shooters wide open. To me, I would rather have Ja Morant as a point guard leading my team because of what he can do, create. You can't guard him. You can guard Jalen Brunson. If it's not a double team, it's just a length. They're like Jason Tatum.
Unstoppable versus stoppable. I got you, Jack. Morris.
Well, I already explained how you can game plan for Ja Morant. I did that last round, so I'm not going to do it again. But play style wise, I think Jalen Brunson has shown more versatility play style wise than Ja Morant has too. I mean, this year I spoke about already. He got thrust into that heliocentric role because of Julius Randle's injury, and he had like the highest time of possession in the league from that point onwards. And that's a big part of the reason why the Knicks offense was able to stay afloat, number 2 offense in the league with him on the court this year, like I said. But that also translated to the postseason. So this plan of, we just let Brunson score and we're fine. The Knicks had the best offense in the postseason with Jalen Brunson on the floor. So no, it doesn't work. They're one of the best offenses in the league as long as Jalen Brunson is out there. But his ability to play off the ball is something that I think really separates him from Ja Morant. He shot 48.5% on spot threes this year. And then similar to my Tyrese Maxey point, when he attacks the closeout, he's even more dangerous. He shot 66% in those situations. When he would attack the closeout and get downhill for that floater or that pull-up midi, 66% is what he shot. He is elite at playing away from the basketball. It's something we didn't get to see a lot this year because of the fact that he had to monopolize the ball, but he's shown in previous stops and even in the small sample size of this year that he can do that. Like I said in the postseason, 44% on catch and shoot threes. He can do that. Ja Morant is someone who monopolizes the ball out of necessity, not because he can do other things and he has to, because he has to play on the ball because he doesn't catch and shoot threes as well. He shot about 30% on spot threes. He can't really shoot threes out of pick and roll. He's about 36% compared to Jalen Brunson's 44%. He just really lacks in the areas that would allow him to play next to other stars as opposed to what Jalen Brunson provides.
All right, there you have it. That is the conclusion of topic 2. We've had 2 good topics so far, but you guys already know the drill. It is 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock. That means you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to run over to that poll and vote on who you believe had the better round 2. Do your job, chat. In the meantime, the judges behind the scenes will be sending me their votes as well. That was a good first 2 rounds, fellas. Next round, this is what we're going to get into. We have who's the better finisher, LeBron James or Shaquille O'Neal? Should be interesting. I'm excited to see the points that you guys come up here and make. In the meantime, 50 seconds left on the clock. Vote, 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 vote. And next battle, next debate, we have number 6 Penn versus number 11 Hayes. That should be a very good one. And I honestly don't know who's going to win that one. Same thing with this one too, y'all. It's a toss-up right now. This round should determine who's going to win. So we shall see. All right. These votes are flooding in right now. And, oh, by the way, unfortunately, we have been deprived of our 4th debate today. OG the Beast is not able to make it, unfortunately. So Chilltown advances to the next round.
Crazy work. We gonna act like Chill ain't make the call to OG and tell him to sit it out? Say less. We just gonna act like that's not what happens.
Yo,
we gonna act like that
motion.
We know Chill and OG go way back. We're gonna act like Chill ain't telling, hey, sit this one out for me. That's what he said. Sit this one out for me.
And he gonna cut him something at the end.
Yeah, he's like,
okay.
I give you 250. That's what's happening. I can already tell that's what's happening.
Okay. Let's go. All right, we got round 3, y'all. The votes are in. We got round 3. I will let you guys know who won round 2 after we finish this whole debate. But you guys, if you weren't listening, you know who won round 1. You don't know who won round 2. You'll know who won round 2 and 3 after this battle. But topic 3, who is the better finisher? LeBron versus Shaquille O'Neal. Mars, it will be back on you, and your time will start whenever you decide to.
This was a hard topic for me because I didn't know how to approach it. So obviously, first thing I did was go to the statistical route. Obviously, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to read off the numbers, but then the next few rounds, I'm going to talk because this one is really, it's hard to gauge in my opinion. So for their best single seasons each, which was surprisingly 2014 Bron and 2001 Shaq, LeBron shot 80% of the rim in the regular season, which is 19% above the league average for that year. And he shot 77% in the postseason, which is 16% above the league average that year. He also shot 74% on layups, and only 47% of his rim field goals were assisted. He also maintained this against top 10 defenses, shooting 78% of the rim, and in the playoffs, 76%. Now for Shaq. He shot 63.5% on his layups. He shot 79% of the rim in the regular season, which is 17% above what the rest of the league was, so slightly below LeBron. In the postseason, he was at 76%, which is still about 15 or so above the league average. So right in line with what LeBron was, while 67% of his were assisted. So from a statistical standpoint, it would appear LeBron more efficient, less assisted, creates for himself more. That would be an indicator of something. But then I can understand the lack of spacing for the era. So I was like, let me look at what LeBron was doing in 2009 and 2010, where he was playing in those double big lineups, less spacing. He was still plus 13% in both of those years, where LeBron wasn't even as refined as he would become. So statistically, even though I was kind of surprised to see these numbers myself, LeBron statistically stands up to Shaq, and in fact, probably looks better from a pure statistical basis. So I'm curious to see what angle Jack goes with.
Didn't think of that, Mars. All right, Jack, it's on you.
Yeah, the angle I'm going to go with is Shaq 7'1", 325, and he's just, the most dominant figure in the history of sports. I don't know, the most dominant player in the history of basketball. LeBron he's the guy that whenever you ask the question, go get a bucket, who do you want with the ball? You can't, if you say LeBron James, it's hard to debate that. But when you talk about finishing, it's less about efficiency and more just about who can grab the basketball and go dunk. Dominance outweighs any type of efficiency that you could present to me from LeBron James. And yeah, Shaq, from a percentage wise, maybe it's not adding up to LeBron. I think that's more because Shaq he couldn't shoot the basketball. And so around the rim, he was brilliant, but I think some of those numbers are a little, and believe them the way they are kind of presented, just because I think what Shaq did around the rim, it's more dominant, and that's why he's a better finisher than LeBron. And ultimately, I brought up the size at the start, and when you have that type of size, that kind of trumps all in it when he played and today.
Understandable, Jack. Size matters. Mars, round 2.
Yeah, the numbers are true, and it's not factoring in anything outside of 5 feet. It's just rim attempts. So Shaq's inability to shoot isn't really relevant for the numbers. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want me to send you the link to the research I did. I'm not lying about the numbers. But away from the numbers, I think Bron's ability to generate his own shot at the rim is what would give me the edge for him. Like I said, 47% of his were assists compared to 67% for Shaq. LeBron's ability to attack from the outside and get all the way downhill while being one of the most physically imposing players we've ever seen for himself, I think just provides more value than someone who is relying on other people to get him the ball. I know Shaq dominated on the inside. He's one of the best finishers ever. I'm not about to try and act like there's just a Grand Canyon between them. These are maybe the two best finishers we've ever seen. But I just think you got to give a bit more respect to someone who can self-generate their looks a bit more. It's like similar to what I said about the Ray Allen, Klay Thompson debate like 4 weeks ago now. The percentages can be similar, or someone can even have the edge in percentages. But if someone is generating their looks a lot more than the other, I think we can overlook some sort of percentage differences. But when the person self-generating their looks is still the more efficient, I think we have to start factoring in that this guy might just be better at that skill. Then I could get to the dexterity and the fact that LeBron James is clearly more comfortable finishing with both hands, clearly has better touch in terms of layups. I alluded to those numbers. Shaq 64%, LeBron 74%. It's not even close. So when it comes to touch, dexterity, body control, self-generation, like it's all pointing one way, and that way is LeBron.
Jack?
I think that, you mentioned LeBron kind of making the shots for himself, self-creating. I think Shaq was really good at that too. And maybe it's because of his size and not necessarily the skill he had, whereas LeBron, it's a skill, it's a strength thing. But to me, his ability down low and the post moves and his post-game mastery was the reason why he's the better finisher in this case. I understand the top of the key and you hand both of them the basketball. LeBron's probably going to get downhill better and he's going to get to the hoop better. But if I want to go get a bucket and I say, hey, Shaq, go on the post and I'm going to just throw Shaq the ball, that's a better option and a better basketball move and a higher percentage shot than anything LeBron could do. And you look at Team USA, for example, what's the first play they do? It's a look to Joel Embiid in the post versus anything from LeBron, KD, Steph. No, Embiid in the post right away because that's the highest percentage shot. And then who's the most dominant at that shot? It's not LeBron. It's Shaquille O'Neal. So therefore, I think Shaquille O'Neal is the best finisher of all time. But like you said, they're 1 and 2.
Round 3. Talk to us, Mars.
Yeah, like I said, I really struggled with this one. I think we're splitting hairs. I also want to just show love. I think Giannis is also in this conversation in terms of what he's been able to do. But yeah, I think for me, it just, once again, it does stick to the self-generation. I do understand the point of Shaq just being able to park himself near the lane. And once you get him the ball, it's pretty much a guaranteed 2 points. I mean, we understand teams were intentionally fouling him as opposed to giving up layups. Like, that's something that we haven't really seen before. But with LeBron, I mean, that's where I think the biggest separator is. Teams tried to foul LeBron too. He just powered through it. Now, so did Shaq. But the consequence was LeBron leading the league in and-ones, converting these and-ones, and just ultimately, I think, being the dangerous threat in that regards. Because you could foul Shaq and you could live to see another day. That wasn't the case with LeBron. So you couldn't foul him. But then if you did foul him, he would probably still finish anyway. As, like I said, he led the league in and-ones multiple times in his career. You very rarely blocked him because he could jump over you, finish around you. That level of body control and dexterity is what I think Shaq doesn't have. Now, he has the physical imposition to just overpower you and make sure you can't get near the ball. But LeBron has that alongside being able to navigate around bodies and being able to swim and go up and under and finish with more finesse than Shaq ever could. So he's got the power game, plus the finesse game, plus the self-generation, plus the efficiency edge. And he's done that in less efficient times where he had to play with too big. So it's not just, he benefited from spacing. He's done it all throughout his career for 20 years.
Topic 3, round 3, Jack. Take us away.
I think the reason why LeBron finishes his and ones, maybe a little better. I don't know if he does, just because Shaq, he's going to the line. He doesn't know what he's going to get out of those foul shots, probably a couple of misses. He's more apt to try and finish it. Whereas, yeah, LeBron, great finisher. But I think in that argument, you got to look at trying to get those 2 points before he gets to the line, and being a finisher with the contact, with the fouls. But, ultimately, you look at LeBron James, you look at Shaquille O'Neal as the 2 most dominant ever. You bring up Giannis Antetokounmpo, you put and what's the similarity here? Well, Giannis can't shoot either. And if Giannis could ever learn how to shoot the basketball other than just, getting the ball and taking 27 seconds to shoot it, if he actually developed, he would be legendary. And that's something that LeBron James did. He developed a hell of a 3-point shot, as a matter of fact. And I think LeBron relies a little more on the 3-point shot than maybe even he would want to rely on the 3-point shot. Whereas Shaq was always, we all know what Shaq could do best. It's at the rim, ball over everybody. And when you just the word dominant to me, the first person that comes to mind is Shaquille O'Neal. We don't even have to be talking about basketball.
All right, y'all. That is the conclusion of topic 3. We are going to put up this timer, and you guys are going to go vote on who you believe made the better points, Mars or Jack Cody, in this topic of who's the better finisher, LeBron or Shaquille O'Neal. This was a good last topic. Both fellas said that they were splitting hairs. They said that this was neck and neck. They said it was close, but it will be up to you guys to determine who ultimately was better in this round. So the polls are up. They are running. Go ahead and get over there. You got about a minute left. I got my live judges here. So we're going to go ahead and make this happen. They are getting their votes in. Fellas, amazing way to kick off the playoffs. Week 1 of the PCL. Did the playoffs feel a little different?
I see 16 next to my name. Did it rub me the wrong way? I don't know. I took it like Jason Tatum. I'm not going to come in here and, sob about it or anything. But Mars as a number 1 overall seed, I was curious. I had a question mark next to it, and he brought his A game, and I was thoroughly impressed. He put on a clinic. That's all I got to say.
Oh, thank you. That was kind.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
being here on a Wednesday felt weird. Used
Wednesday.
to be here on a Sunday.
I knew it was I knew it was Wednesday over there. You see, you
Okay.
tried to trick us, lad. You trick your little.
I
Allegedly.
thought it was Thursday for a second.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, I'm sorry that I'm talking to an American audience and trying to. My fault. But yeah, I mean, being here during the week was different. I'm used to being here on Sunday. But yeah, man. I mean, my people who watch my channel, they know I've been preparing hard for this battle, man.
I hope
I was concerned. Yeah, I was concerned. I thought because I didn't want to go against you. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't want to go against you. So hopefully I won, but I didn't want to go against you at all. So had to put in that hard work and that preparation. But I think it paid off. So yeah,
it was a good debate.
All right, indeed, it was a good debate. But this is what we have for right now. So, topic 1, who's the better sidekick, Jamal Murray or Tyrese Maxey? Mars, you took home that topic 3-0.
Let's go.
Topic 2, who was the better point guard, Ja Morant versus Jalen Brunson? With a convincing 3-0 lead, Mars, you also won that topic as well.
Let's go.
And last but not least, topic 3, who's the better finisher? Pause. LeBron or Shaq? And once again, with a 3-0 lead, Mars, you took that round home as well.
The preparation pays off, man. The preparation pays off. Did 2 separate streams today preparing, so I mean, I had to work hard for this. Yeah, 5 hours in total.
I don't know if this is a yearly thing, but I'll be back if you guys want me back.
I think you're always welcome back. I mean, you know what I think would be fair? Let Jack go against Chill, man. Chill shouldn't get a day off. Let Jack go against Chill.
On Sunday?
If he can be, let Jack go against Chill. Give him another chance to go through. Because if OG not going to show up, Chill shouldn't just get to go straight through. Let Jack go against Chill, man. That's what I think. That's what I think would be fair. That's what I think would be fair. Chill should have to beat someone to get through. Maybe run a poll to see if the chat agrees with that. I don't know, but I think that would be fair.
What's wrong with I mean, Chill fought through the civil rights. He fought through a lot of things for us. He was in Vietnam, World War I, II, all of that good stuff. Why shouldn't he get a vote? Or why shouldn't he get a bye?
Because
he was on that bus with Rosa Parks.
and he ain't give up his seat.
Valid point. But all right, fellas, we got to get on to the next battle. Mars, good job today. You will be advancing. Oh, and by the way, for next round, you as the number 1 seed will face whoever's the lowest seed.
Oh,
so
let's go. I'm avoiding pirate and casual. Let's go.
We'll see who that may be. But Jack, appreciate you for chiming in. We'll catch you sometime soon on the panel. And also, maybe PCL season 2. You'll get summoned back again.
Hell yeah.
Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas.
All right, y'all. That was an amazing first battle. we will be back again for the second battle. You guys stay tuned. Go grab some popcorn, soda, candy, whatever it may be, and we're going to do the same thing all over again. All right, here we go, y'all. We back for the next debate, the second debate of the day. I got two guys with me that both legitimately have shots in winning this good old belt right here. You know, this is the PCL, and this is Player's Choice, where only winning matters. And these two guys that I'm about to bring up next, both are winners. So we'll see who will advance to the next round. I got the number 6 seed, Pin, up here. And I also got the number 11 seed, Hayes, as well. How's it going today, fellas?
It's going good.
Good. I'm fighting COVID, but going good. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, shit. You about to have a flu game?
No, let's hope so.
You wore the right shirt. All right.
All right. Well, here we go, fellas. I'm not going to do too much yapping. We're going to go ahead and get straight into it. The first topic of this great battle that we're about to see is who's the next face of the NBA? Anthony Edwards or Victor Wembanyama? First, we are going to rock with you, Pin. So take us away.
All right. First, we got to talk about what is the face of the league? It's the guy that the league is putting the most money behind. It's the marquee guy. Well, I checked the jersey sales for last year, and Victor Wembanyama is already top 5 in jersey sales. He's number 4. He's right behind Curry, Bron, and Tatum. And that's as a rookie on a really trash team with Jeremy Sohan as a point guard. It's a damn near unwatchable basketball. I don't see Anthony Edwards top 10 in any of the last 4 years. So I think that matters. The league has already poured tens of millions of dollars into Wemby. They were airing his games with Metro 92. They didn't do that for any other player. The NBA app is basically the Wemby app. And this year, they're putting their money where their mouth is. And by the way, the last time the league did something like this, it was when they were airing LeBron's high school games with St. Vincent St. Mary. Next year, the Spurs are going to get 21 games on national television. By the way, their roster is still pretty trash. Doesn't matter. Wemby's going to be at Madison Square Garden on Christmas Day. It's not because his roster is good. It's because the league is putting money behind him in a way they haven't really invested behind a player in a long time. And there's a big reason for that. Is because the league is going global. And who better to be a global ambassador than a guy who is French-born and his father is African? The league is clearly trying to expand into Europe and Africa, and there's no better ambassador for that than Victor Wembanyama. Finally, a caveat. This is a risk management equation, and the surest bet is the guy who keeps his head straight. And Wemby is very well-spoken and very articulate and mature beyond his years.
All right, Hayes, let's see what you got to say about this.
When it comes down to the guy who can be the next face of the NBA, I think you also have to put in personality. And Anthony Edwards has a personality that people already gravitate towards. When you look at how players around the NBA, and like Kevin Durant has already talked about, Anthony Edwards being that next guy up and how he shines bright, according to the direct quote from Kevin Durant. And I tend to look at how their peers look at players. And Anthony Edwards not only has the personality both on and off the court, which we will at some point talk about his on the court resume for being the next face of the NBA, but also you talk about brand ambassadorship. Look at what Anthony Edwards has already done, being in a film, in a movie, in which a lot of people say he stole the show in that film. On top of that, you got to look at the performances that Anthony Edwards has already had, both in the playoffs and in big games. Yeah, not always performing in the way that a lot of people would like to see, but Anthony Edwards does not shy away from the spotlight. He doesn't shy away from the moment, and he's not quiet about how good he thinks he is, even when he named his top 5, making sure to say that he has himself ranked above that at a time where a lot of people would have tried to play the PC aspect of that. I think Anthony Edwards, when you look at just his growth, his confidence, and also in just the cockiness that comes out on the court as well with him, at the end of the day, Anthony Edwards is just somebody who is growing into being that face, that marketable face. Not to say Wemby isn't marketable as well, but it's just something different about a player that talks crap as well as backs it up and is not afraid and does not shy away from the moment, on top of already having many accolades to his name already.
All right, okay. I like this topic. Let's go, Penn. I like it.
Well, I love that you brought up his riz and his personality, but when's the last time you seen LeBron James or Michael Jordan telling the entire arena to suck it? When's the last time you've seen the league led by a player who is not a league historian, who does not have a great appreciation for the players who came before him? Because Anthony Edwards made a lot of waves with the Wall Street Journal when he was asked about the 90s, and he basically said those guys didn't have skill. It was just Jordan who had skill back there. How did Magic Johnson feel about that? This league is a legacy. It's a fraternity that is 75 years in the making. You have to respect the past in order to be the future, and I think that matters. And of course, we got to talk about the players. Wembanyama is a better player right now. Right now. He's 20 years old. He's a better player right now. That's not to say Anthony Edwards is not a fantastic player, but the analytics are so clear on this. It is staring at you. You would be blind not to see it. Last year, Victor Wembanyama on a trash team with Jeremy Sohan playing point guard for half the season had, this is not a typo, 5.2 box plus minus. That's damn near superstar level, 3.8 value of a replacement. Those numbers are higher than any year of Anthony Edwards' career. By the way, you are correct. Anthony Edwards' career high were last year. Wemby's numbers beat that. After January 1st, when Wemby was a completely different player, he was 23 points, 11 rebounds, 4.4 assists, and 4 blocks. I'm not describing Hakeem Olajuwon in his prime. Those numbers might deceive you. I'm describing a 20-year-old rookie playing in the West on the trashiest roster in the league. Wemby is the truth.
Round 2, Hayes.
And I think when you look at it and saying that these two guys are going to be, it's the next face of the NBA. And unfortunately for Wemby, he is on the trash team. And right now, Anthony Edwards is having those accolades in going on playoff runs and performing at the highest level. A 2-time All-Star already. All NBA second team, all NBA rookie. Then on top of that, you look at the performances that he had in the playoffs that we've already gotten seen. Unfortunately, due to the circumstance, Wemby has not been able to be in the playoffs yet. Anthony Edwards has a gold medal. Anthony Edwards has been on playoff runs. Anthony Edwards has been on a team that damn near could have made the finals had they just made an improvement. We're talking about the next face of the NBA. And unfortunately, because of Wemby's situation right now with the team that he's on, there's not a clear path. There's an easier path with Anthony Edwards to be promoted more and pushed more in the postseason right now that we can say for sure than Victor Wembanyama is going to be. Nobody's doubting what Victor Wembanyama does. On the basketball court, you cannot take away anything from Victor Wembanyama. But at the same time, Anthony Edwards is a player that is doing it right now in the playoffs because of where his team is. And that does play a big part into that as well. At the end of the day, Anthony Edwards has had huge performances in the playoffs. 45 points in the game 6 that clinched the series win. On top of that, averaging 31 points, 8 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and 2 steals in a series in which they eliminated Kevin Garnett, in which Kevin Garnett said that Anthony Edwards was his favorite player to watch. Anthony Edwards right now is performing at a time and at a level that unfortunately Wemby just has not been able to get to because of circumstances, but you still got to take that into consideration.
All right. Penn, round 3. Let's do it.
Did you build a time machine where Anthony Edwards got to face off against Kevin Garnett? Where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Okay. Look, man, the numbers are clear on this one. The league gave Victor Wembanyama 21 nationally televised games this year, and he's on a trash roster. Last year, Anthony Edwards had 10. if he's the face of the league sure as hell does not agree with you and certainly agrees with me. And I'll tell you why. It's because of the numbers, and the numbers do matter. And it's not to take away from the player Wemby is, because he's a fantastic player and he's taking care of his body and he's the right guy to take that torch. And he's very well spoken and he's got a lot of charisma and he's got a nasty streak. And I understand that a lot of North Americans maybe, feel some way about a European coming over and taking the shine. But this is not your average European. France has a population of 68 million people. Just to put that into context, Joel Embiid's Cameroon, Nikola Jokic is Serbia, Giannis is Greece, combined do not have a population of 68 million. Add to that there are 21 million people across this planet who speak French. The league cares about new markets, and this is a new market that they can tap into. And that's not to say that non-French people don't fuck with Wemby. Of course they do. I don't speak French. I'm not French. I fuck with this dude. Been watching him for a long time. He is absolutely what you need in the face of the league. And if I'm betting billions of dollars on a guy to lead my organization, lead my league for the next 15 years, the surest bet in this league right now is Victor Wembanyama.
Fucking right, Penn. Hayes, it's on you.
And while Wemby may be the best and safe bet, let's not act like we haven't seen the NBA push players before that end up not becoming the face like they hope they become the face. Everything that you just said and pointed out is great. And that's the NBA trying to market the one of the best players and a true generational player. But that doesn't always mean that they're going to become the next face of the NBA. The NBA also pivots. So yeah, the NBA is promoting Wemby as the unicorn that he is, as they should right now, because guess what? Wemby is such a special talent. Make no mistake about it. But it's still, you have to perform in that. And if Wemby continually, because of his team in the situation, does not make the playoffs, can that be somebody that they will continue to invest in to be the face of the league? Yeah, the market in France is great. As somebody who grew up in Europe, I understand that. But at the same time, you can take advantage of a market and gain money from a market and them still not end up being the face of the NBA. You still, to be the face, you not only have to perform individually, but you have to be able to get to the heights, because the last thing the NBA wants, and eventually it will pivot if the Spurs don't get there, is to keep making somebody the face of their league that ultimately can't go on deep playoff runs. At some point, the NBA will pivot. And, maybe we never have that conversation. We don't worry about it. Wemby is a great generational talent. Make no mistake about it. But at the same time, if a team like the Spurs and they get cute again with the aging Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes around him, don't make the playoffs, whilst Anthony Edwards keeps going on these deep playoff runs with his team, and God forbid they do make the finals, at some point the talent and the it factor of Anthony Edwards, to me, will be something that the NBA has to market and promote if he keeps having the success.
Wow. That was a good round one. Topic one. I enjoyed that thoroughly. The time is up right now for you guys to go ahead and vote on who you believe made a better argument in this who's the next face of the NBA. Now, once again, chat, I need you guys to be completely objective and use fairness. It's not about who the name you liked more, or it's not about the person you liked more. It's about who makes the more logical points, who provides facts, context, examples, and just paints the better picture. Who has rebuttals, counterpoints, multi-level arguments? Who's more persuasive and believable and convincing in what they're saying? Who has the better delivery? And ultimately, who's also more entertaining as well? Who's bringing the energy? Who's more lively? Who's more dynamic? Those are your key points when you're choosing who you want to vote for. It's 35 more seconds left. You guys go over there and vote. Like the video while you add it to. I don't know why we're only at 83 likes, but it should be well over 300 because it's 300 people in here. All right, the polls are running. The live votes are coming through. While that is going on, let's go ahead and look forward to topic 2. We have who's the better player right now. This should be a good one as well. Luka versus SGA. The polls are still running. Hurry up and get in there before they close up. 3, 2, 1. All right. Pim, we started with you. So, Hayes, you will start off this round. Luka versus SGA. Who is the better player right now? Let's hear it.
All right. So in looking at this, like, we both know what these players are offensively, but when looking at the totality of what makes a better player, we do have to talk about two sides of the ball. We'll get to efficiency in a minute too as well, where that's where SGA beats out Luka a lot in the efficiency standpoint. But let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. SGA was first in the NBA in steals, first among guards as far as blocks in the NBA, around the top 5 in deflections, shots contested, second amongst guards, an opponent field goal percentage, second in the NBA. The fact of the matter is that when you look at the totality of the game of basketball, SGA affects more areas of the game, specifically on that defensive side of the ball as well. SGA was second in the NBA in defensive estimated plus minus at plus 3.5 this season, which is an amazing number when you look at it. It's plus as well as his defensive box plus minus being at a level that puts him near the top of the league. The fact of the matter is SGA, yeah, he's not as good of a scorer as Luka Doncic, but when you look at what he's able to do and the versatility grade that he has in guarding players in the NBA, SGA brings it more consistently on that defensive side of the ball. And while defense is something that not a lot of people focus on in the NBA, that is something that it does impact the full game of basketball. When it comes down to it, if you had to bet a player to make a stop, whether it's Luka Doncic or SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be better at guarding the player in front of him than what you give Luka Doncic at, on top of SGA giving that as much effort offensively as he does defensively.
Let's go, Pin.
Luka's better. He's much better. They were drafted in the same year. Luka has 5 All-NBAs. Shai has 2. Luka's already made the finals. Shai hasn't sniffed the finals. 5 times Luka has finished in 6 years. He's finished 5 times top 10 in MVP voting. How many players in league history can you say that about? That in their first 6 years they had 5 top 10 MVP finishes. Shai's only done it twice. Career box plus minus. I'm glad you brought up analytics. Career box plus minus 7.8 versus 4.3. Luka wins. Let me start this out. Shai's good, but he's not Luka. Career value of a replacement. 34.3 versus 20.2. Shai's good, but he's not Luka. 28.7 points per game, 8.7 rebounds, 8.3 assists per game versus 22.8, 4.7, 4.9. It's good, but it's not Luka. 400 games played. Neither one of these guys have been super durable, but 400 games played for Luka, 386 for Shai. Head to head, Luka is averaging 30, 10.3 and 9. He's averaging damn near a triple-double against Shai. Shai doesn't look like a superstar against Luka. In 10 games, he's averaging 25 and 4. Okay, Luka's more popular. If I'm building a team around a guy, I want him to be box office. If you want to know who's box office, ask yourself this. When the Dallas Mavericks come to town, is that a more expensive ticket or a less expensive ticket than when the OKC Thunder come to town? It matters.
Hey, it's back on you for round 2.
Now, I love how you are arguing the topic of Luka more so for his career than right now. We're talking right now. And there's no doubt that Luka has scored more points. He's had more accolades because at the end of the day, when you look at how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's career started off in a much different place than Luka Doncic. And he wasn't on the team that was initially building around him. But if you look at the last 2 years from both these players, while they both have averaged over 30 points per game, efficiency matters as well. And while, yes, Luka, talk about the estimated box plus minus and all that. When it comes down to it as well, it's not just about the numbers that you put up, it's how you put them up. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, when you look at it, despite the players still getting to the free throw line about the same amount of time, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a much better free throw shooter than Luka Doncic, despite getting to the free throw line a lot less than he does. And he actually whines a lot less than Luka Doncic does as well. When you look at Luka, even with all that whining and trying to get to the free throw line, 74 and 78% from the free throw line in the last 2 years, whereas Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over that same time with getting to the free throw line about the same amount of time without the whining, 90 and 87.4%. Let's also talk about the efficiency again. True shooting percentage last season, matter of fact, the last 2 seasons, of 63 for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to 61 for Luka Doncic. On top of that, let's look at the creation aspect of it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is almost in the 90th percentile in open shots generated for his teammates. And while, yeah, Luka does that pretty well also, Shai Gilgeous has been on the team with Josh Giddey, non-shooters, and still has created open shots for his teammates. SGA is the better player.
Go ahead, Pin.
If I'm building around you, I got to know who you are in the playoffs. And I know that Luka in the playoffs is a killer. Now, I know you want to hone in on who they are today, but you can't use 2 players who were drafted exactly the same year, roughly the same age. Luka's a little bit younger too. You can't exactly use that and say, well, I'm I'm going to cherry pick the last year of Shai, and I'm going to throw out the previous 4 or 5 years. It matters to me. It matters that I have a 6-year body of work, and over that body of work, that's 50 playoff games that I have evidence that Luka shows up. Right? He shows up big time. 8.7 box plus minus is damn near Michael Jordan, peak Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson levels. Shai Gilgeous is 5.5 is nothing to sneeze at, but it's all right. Per 100 possessions in the playoffs, Luka is a killer. 40.8 points per game, 10.5 assists, 12.2 rebounds. Okay, Shai in the playoffs, it's almost half. 28.7 per 100, 6.5, 7.2, right? Now, I love that you're talking about efficiency, but usage matters too, man. And Shai is not the high usage player that you're making him out to be. Luka has a career usage in the playoffs of 37% usage. That is like generational. That's like higher than LeBron. Okay. Shai's at 24.5, which I think 24.6, which is like very much below what you would expect from a superstar. So I'm taking Luka to be the floor raiser for my team.
Round 3. Let's do it, Hayes.
And I get it, your perspective on using the full body of work, but the topic of the question right now is who's the better player right now? And there's no doubt about it. We can argue all semantics all day long. Yes, Luka has been better for longer. But at the end of the day, it's about the trends now. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is trending in the right direction where he's pretty much matching Luka Doncic. Yeah, the playoffs, that's a thing, and I'll give you that. But when you talk about, to use your own phrase of if you're taking a player right now to build around, would you not build around the player that gives more effort defensively, more consistently? And while, yeah, we can say that he gambles and things like that as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but the fact is the effort is there consistently 82 games a year, whereas Luka Doncic defensively, let's be clear here, at times he's a defensive turnstile. Now, as well as we're talking about the usage rate, yeah, Luka Doncic has a very high usage, and that goes to him being on a team that has needed him to do a whole hell of a lot. But at the end of the day, we're talking about building a team and who's the better player right now. And in building a team and looking at what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was in the playoffs, what he's become, how he stepped up in the right moments at the biggest times as well for his team. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a player that you can have more versatility in the way that you build around. We just saw Luka Doncic a couple of years ago have Kyrie Irving, and it took a bunch of role players to get him to the point. The fact of the matter is that if you're building a team right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander offers you a more versatility in how you can build that team because of the efforts that he gives on both sides of the ball. And I think that has to matter in a case like that. Yeah, Luka offensively is spectacular, but when it comes to both sides of the game of basketball, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander does more.
I love that you keep bringing up defense. Like Luka's a terrible defender. Luka is not a terrible defender. He was a terrible defender. He's been a terrible defender, but he's still a 6'7" guy, and he is still one of the more positionally versatile defenders in the league. He guards 2s, he guards 3s, he guards 4s, and his compete level has been a lot better. I know a lot of people have selective amnesia. They're going to be recency bias. Yes, he was a little bit hobbled in the playoffs, and his defense was much worse. But this year, he was a scoring champion while really holding up and being much better defensively. He's not a great defender. Shai is not a great defender either, okay? Don't let all those steals fool you. He's not a great defender. He's not a top 20 defender in the league. Yes, Shai is a better defender than Luka. That's not a surprise to anybody, but the gap between these two players offensively is where we're talking about because it's not equivalent. You say two sides of the ball. We hopefully agree that offense is much more important than defense when building a team around a player. Okay. And Luka puts more pressure on the defense. He gets harder matchups. He gets more doubles. He gets more blitzes. He has less help around him, in my opinion. He has the higher volume. He's a higher volume 3-point shooter. He can score from anywhere. He does that Kobe thing where, anywhere inside of 35 feet, he's a threat to score. That aggression offensively, that generational passing. Like, I can't even compare these two players as passers because honestly, Luka is on a completely different level as a passer. He's on a completely different level as a rebounder. And honestly, it's like you can't really talk about defense without talking about defensive rebounding. And Luka is much better on that end as well. So, we can go on all day, but he's much better.
All right. Throw up that timer. We're going to throw up these polls, and we need you guys to go ahead and settle this good old-fashioned debate. Luka versus SGA. This was a good topic, right, chat? Right. All right. The polls are up. Go ahead and vote on who you believe made the more compelling points and who argued this whole thing better from top to bottom. The judges are sending me over. Interesting. The judges are chiming in. All right. Okay. All right. Yes, this is very interesting. All right. Well, you guys have a minute to go vote. Please exercise that vote, and also make sure that you like the video, subscribe if you haven't. And I want to also take the time out right now to shout out our Hall of Famers. A few of them are in here right now. We have Dorian Clayton, Cobra Son of Raditz, Multi Kinney, Kendall Daniels, Arch, Jerry Reality, and our newest Hall of Famer, Hutton Gilgores as well. Shout out to those 7 guys because they really hold it down for Player's Choice and for the PCL as a whole as well. We got 30 more seconds. Get your votes in. Get your votes in. All right, fellas. The next topic that you guys are going to have is the better decade of basketball, the 2010s or the 1990s. This is actually one of my more favorite topics for the day. And it's looking like this is going to be an important topic as well. So we'll see. All right. The polls are concluding right now. And Penn, you started it. Hayes, you went first last round. So Penn, we are back on you to kick things off. Your time will start whenever you start. Better decade of basketball.
I grew up as a kid in the 90s, and I got to tell you, this is an ode to my childhood self, watching Michael Jordan, watching Magic Johnson, watching and trying to mimic Allen Iverson. The stars were iconic in the 90s, and they stayed put. Jordan, Hakeem, Shaq, Iverson, Magic, Kobe, Barkley. We got to see the start of Vinsanity. We got T-Mac. We got Kevin Garnett. We got Tim Duncan. We got Rasheed Wallace. We got Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill, Scottie Pippen, Sean Kemp, Chris Webber, Jason Kidd, Gary Payton. My God. How many top 10 players all time? I don't care what your top 10 list is. I guarantee you have at least 5 guys from the 90s on your list. Magic, Jordan, Kobe, Shaq, Hakeem, Duncan. Those guys all played in the 90s, right? The stars actually stayed with one team. Jordan stayed with the Bulls. Thomas with the Pistons. Ewing with the Knicks. David Robinson with the Spurs, the Twin Towers. You could invest in something and know that it was going to stay put. That consistency to me matters. Hakeem with the Rockets, he stayed his entire prime, right? Contrast this with the 2010s, where you had the best player in the league starting your decade out in the 2010s with Cleveland. Then he goes to Miami, not 1, not 2, not 3, never mind. It was 2. Okay. Then, had enough, go back to Cleveland, win a ring there. Then, okay, see you, Cleveland. Don't burn my jerseys this time. And then off to LA. And he's not the only one who did it, right? You got Kevin Durant. You got him joining up against, with the 73. Where's the compete level? I miss the decade where guys actually wanted to fight each other.
All right, Hayes, you got it.
Well, I fully agree with you about the nostalgia aspect. Much like you, I grew up in the 90s and I was a Bulls fan in the 90s. And so, yeah, it's a great nostalgia factor. But I think the point of this is the better decade of basketball for the game of basketball. At least that's the point that I'm looking at. And when you look at it, 4 different teams won the NBA title from 1990 to 1999. That's the Pistons, Bulls, Rockets, and Spurs. 7 different teams won NBA titles from 2010 to 2019. The Lakers, the Mavs, the Heat, the Spurs, the Warriors, the Cavs, and the Raptors. And then when you also pair into that the varying styles and how the game evolved over that time, we're talking about a time where in the early 2000s to 2002 to 2005, there were major changes made to the game of basketball that affected the way the game of basketball was played. In the 2010s, it was the refinement of that era, and thus we got to see the run and gun era. We got to see the rise of the 7 seconds or less offense. We got to see the rise of LeBron in his prime. We got to see the Golden State Warriors. And I think when you look at the totality of the game of basketball and what era and decade affected and impacted the game of basketball more. Yeah, the 90s were great. Make no mistake about it. That nostalgia, we're not done with the 90s, despite what some people said. But at the end of the day, in talking about the game of basketball as a whole, there was more growth done in that era, especially when you look at the international play and the growth of international players, more versatilities and centers. You're still talking about the 90s where players were refined to very specific roles within their positions. In the 2000s and 10s, we saw the growth outside of that to where it wasn't just about what you do per what your position says that you does, but your overall game.
Back to you, Penn. Let's do it.
I got to talk about the game we're talking about. You talking about diversity. Well, diversity of outcomes. This team won, then that team won. The Raptors won. The Lakers. Okay, well, you know what? It matters to me the diversity of the game that I'm actually watching on the TV. in front of my eyes. It matters that every team is not playing the same bullshit brand of basketball. The Bulls did not play the same style of basketball as every other team in the league. The Orlando Magic had a distinct style that matters to me. Now, it also matters to me the physicality. The screens are harder set, right? It matters to me that teams, like the teams that I'm actually watching on the court, are actually like teams that don't like each other, that they're actually going and competing against each other. What about load management? What is that? What kind of message are we sending with load management and all this physically soft shit? And again, some of it comes down to injuries, but where are your Iron Men? Where's your AC Green playing over 1,000 games straight? That's not happening in the 2010s. In the 2010s, you had guys like Kawhi Leonard who got injured. You got Kobe Bryant injured. You had Paul George, huge injury. Derrick Rose, injuries. A lot of the biggest stars of the 2010s. I mean, we could have seen a Kobe renaissance in Los Angeles towards the end of his to his twilight, but we didn't even get to see that because of injuries. So I'm just saying, stars didn't play as much. They didn't stay with the same teams, and that to me really matters in terms of the product that I'm watching on the TV.
Back to
And
you,
then let's
Mace.
talk about the product that we're watching on the TV. Let's talk about the fact that the growth of the NBA game has seen some of the most substantial growth that it ever saw in the 2010s, partially due to the number of stars that you had. Yeah, the 90s were more physical. Nobody's going to make that argument that they weren't. But at the end of the day, yeah, the protection of your players as well of your assets put you in a situation to where you're able to see your players have longer careers. You're able to see your players for longer over more sustained periods of time. On top of that, right, as we're talking about the enjoyment of the game of basketball, to say that there have been no teams with distinct styles in the 2010s, let's make no mistake about it. I think you're confusing the 2020s and where that's going with the 2010s. Let's just look at the teams that won the championships between 2010 and 2019. Did the Lakers play the same way as the Mavericks? Did the Mavericks play the same way as the Spurs? Did the Spurs play the same way as the Warriors? The answers to all those questions are no. So to say that these teams did not have distinct styles just because it wasn't the 90s where screens were set harder and the game was more physical is just downright incorrect. We've seen players grow into aspects where just Steph Curry's game would have not been accepted in the same way in which it was, taking half-court shots in the 90s. And the fact that we at sometimes drop down our guard on what we have these predefined roles of, and again, that comes down to the embracement of the international game as well, is that you got to see players do more, and you got to see some players that unfortunately probably would have fizzled out in the 90s have longer careers and make bigger impacts when it comes down to it as well in the thousands.
Round 3.
I like that you brought up the growth of the game, and I understand the numbers may say something else, but I'm going to tell you right now, as a North American fan of the NBA in the 90s, the game grew more internationally in the 90s than it did in the 2010s. I'll tell you why. Largely, the growth in the 90s was about the product. It was about the players. It was about the personalities. It was about the charisma. It was about wanting to see Michael Jordan, wanting to see Kobe Bryant, wanting to copy Allen Iverson. These are the things that really captivated the minds of kids all over the world. This is what made people fall in love with the game. The growth of the game right now is largely due to technology. We're seeing the NBA expand into new markets, into third world countries. Frankly, there are countries right now that have smartphones that did not have televisions 35 years ago, 30 years ago. So the truth is, the numbers can say one thing, but I think everyone knows what product was really more captivating, which one we're going to talk about more in 35, 40 years. The fact that Michael Jordan existed in the 90s, was at the peak of his powers in the 90s, that matters to me. The greatest player of all time, the guy that you're crossing your hands, but he's on your shirt for a reason. That was 35 years ago, right? So it matters to me that. And it really matters to me that, you have this legend, this franchise icon, right? And in his game 6, you had 36 million people watch Jordan versus the Jazz. And it wasn't because Malone and Stockton were so interesting. It's because he was so big. LeBron James came back from 3-1 and didn't grab those ratings in a game 7.
Hayes, round 3.
And what you're talking about, the growth of the game, I know you say technology, but to say that people didn't grasp the game, how many kids now are imitating Steph Curry? We got to see prime LeBron James. And while, yes, Michael Jordan is my GOAT. Make no mistake about it. Prime LeBron James in the 2010s and what he was able to do, the finals runs that he was able to go on, even the finals in which he lost in those performances. Let's not act like that didn't grow the game. On top of that, the Redeem team happened in that time as well. The growth of international, even I would say the U.S. losing in an international stage and bringing more awareness to the international game. We're talking about the decade of basketball, not the decade of the NBA. And when you're talking about the overall game of basketball, to say that these guys and Steph Curry, James Harden, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade didn't grow the game of basketball, what are we talking about, Penn? When you look at the end of the day, and I know I use that phrase a lot, I've just noticed that myself as well, but when you look at all this at the end of the day of the game of basketball, you can talk about technology or what. I'm sorry, they took advantage of what was there, but if you didn't have the skill to captivate that audience with the technology, it wouldn't have gotten anywhere to the level which it did. The impact of LeBron James, the growth of Steph Curry, to see these dynasties rise and fall over this decade was amazing for the growth of basketball, as well as inspiring kids today. When we look at how modern basketball is, regardless of how you feel about it or not, how modern basketball is played, right now, it comes from more of the players that happened in the 2010s than the 90s. It just is what it is. The growth of the game internationally, both domestically and everything else included, it is what it is.
It is what it is. So you guys go ahead and get ready to vote right now. The polls are running. The timer is up. And this is going to settle a lot of things. We got Penn as a number 6 seed versus Hayes as a number 11 seed. And this was a good battle from front to finish. You guys came in here and debated your asses off for all 3 rounds. And I think it got better and better and better as the time went on and as the rounds got, more intense. We have the polls up, and I need you guys to do us a favor and do yourself a favor and exercise that vote. I'm waiting for my judges in the background to chime in. Okay. 1 vote is in. All right, and in about 45 seconds, I will reveal who won all 3 rounds as well. In the meantime, you guys make sure you like the video and do all of that other good stuff. While we're waiting for the time to go out, I have a super chat, so I'm going to read that right now. A long story short, said Wemby credits his great handles to watching Pistol Pete instructional videos. Someone way more talented than Edwards. Edwards lost to Lithuania as leader. All right. That's that. The super chats have spoken and the people have spoken, but I need you guys to continue to do some talking on these polls. Go ahead. We got 10 more seconds left. Get your votes in. Next, we have Pirate versus Casual. 2 guys that felt like they were slighted in the regular season and they should be higher seeds. So it should be an interesting matchup through and through for those 2. But as of right now, the polls have ended. The judges have sent their votes in. Okay. All right, fellas. The votes are all the way in. Wow. All right. Round 1. This was the topic of who's the next face of the NBA. Penn, you won round 1, 2-1. Round 2. Who's the better player right now? Luka or SGA? Hayes, you won that round with a sweep, 3-0. Round 3, we just heard it. Better decade of basketball, the 2010s or the 90s?
Congrats,
With a 3-0 convincing lead. Hayes, my man, you will be advancing.
Hey, great battle, Penn. Hey, that was great, bro. I had a lot of fun. This is probably my most fun debate, bro. Like, great points through and throughout all that, man. I had a lot of fun.
Awesome, man. Congrats to you. Good luck on your next round.
Thank you, Penn.
All right, y'all. Hayes, we'll check you soon next round. Penn, we'll catch you soon, hopefully on the panel sooner than later. Good work, fellas. You guys came up here and you did what you do best. Debated. That was probably one of the better battles that we've seen on here altogether. Like, if I got to tell somebody go watch something in the PCL, that's probably going to be a battle I'm going to refer him to. But we still got one more good battle ahead of us. So don't leave here too soon. Like the video and come back after this quick break. All right, y'all, here we go. This is the last and final battle of the day. Before we get into this battle, it was supposed to be 4 battles today. It was also supposed to be after Pirate and Casual, the number 5 seed in Chill versus the number 12 seed OG the Beast. Unfortunately, OG the Beast is having some family concerns and matters that he has to tend to, so he's not going to be able to join the debate tonight, and that means that Chill basically advances due to OG the Beast not being able to attend. So OG the Beast, I'm sending my thoughts and my prayers your way. Chill. I don't really have to say much. The chat will talk to you. But let's go ahead and get into this next battle. We got Pirate versus Casual. As I mentioned earlier, these guys both had a hell of a season in the PCL, and they both reached out to me with concerns about why they were such a low seed, and now they feel like they're underdogs, and they feel like you guys are overlooking them, and they felt like they were better than a lot of these other guys. Well, ironically, we get a grudge match between these two, and not necessarily a grudge match as in their rivalry, but a grudge match as in chat, what you guys did to these guys by not giving them the proper votes and respect that they deserve. So now let's go ahead and get into it. I have the number 8 versus the number 9 seed. Pirate is the number 8 seed, and Casual is the number 9 seed. Fellas, what's going on today?
Hey, Ron, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right, Pirate.
Hey, Casual. I don't believe we've crossed paths yet, but how you doing?
Good.
Casual, you ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
Pirate. Dub meat
Yeah.
fish.
Dub meatfish. And to be clear, I got no beef with the chat. I counted up the chat. They did their job. I got beef with that AI you got at Radio Shack.
Respect Radio Shack. We grew up on Radio Shack, Pirate.
I did grow up on Radio Shack. Yeah, walkie-talkies.
We'll upgrade the AI, Pirate. We'll upgrade. You know, once we get a big PC sponsor, well, you know what? We'll go ahead and get, you know, the top-notch AI system to go ahead and calculate these votes. But in the meantime, it's time to go ahead and get into this battle. The first topic that we have is better overall score. And you guys got 3 crazy topics too. But the first one is better overall score, Kevin Durant or Kobe Bryant. Pirate, you will kick things off, and your time will start whenever you want to.
All right. Well, yeah, I think it's pretty clear that KD was a much better scorer in every objective way. KD averaged more points on not just much better absolute efficiency, but to be clear, much better relative efficiency as well from every single spot on the floor, both in the regular season and the playoffs. And that relative efficiency is where I want to start. just to sort out any era tax confusion. Anyone who thinks that the era explains the difference. So to be clear, KD's relative efficiency is vastly better than Kobe's, and not by a little bit, it's by a ton. To be clear, KD's league-adjusted EFG and his true shooting are both over 9 points higher than Kobe. That is a huge difference. So look at it this way. KD's efficiency is closer to Shaq's than it is to Kobe. Or you can look at it this way. Kobe's best year of relative efficiency was 107 adjusted true shooting. KD has 14 years higher than Kobe's best year. And most of those years, it is significantly higher. So it's most certainly not just a difference in the era. KD was massively more efficient than not just Kobe, but virtually everyone who's ever played. KD has the 11th highest true shooting percentage in NBA history, while Kobe doesn't even crack the top 250 in true shooting. So this is really apples and oranges. KD is 6th all-time in points per game, and he's also 11th all-time in true shooting. Kobe averaged less points without even cracking the top 250 in efficiency. Kobe missed more shots than anybody in NBA history. Well, KD is not even in the top 30.
Go ahead, Casual. Round one. Let's do it.
I do agree with Pirate. Durant was a more efficient player. But to me, Kobe Bryant is the better all-time scorer because to me his scoring was more impressive. He wasn't the biggest, fastest, stronger, tallest guy on the court like Durant. Durant scoring came easier to him because he was 7 feet tall. And yet, Kobe Bryant, in the slowest decade in NBA history, and with some terrible spacing, unlike Durant, put up some scoring numbers in his career that you look up and you're like, only Will did better? Don't let Durant's career points per game or scoring titles fool you. The sheer amount of points Kobe scored in his career. When we're talking about scoring, it's more about points, not efficiency, points. The sheer amount of points he scored in his career would make this Pirate walk the plank. Kobe's peak scoring season, 35 points per game in 2006. That's 9th all-time, 3rd highest since the merger. Kevin Durant's highest single-season points per game, got my list here, he's all the way down at 33. Damn. Kobe, by the way, in that shooting splits, 45, 35, 85. Relative to era, relative that he didn't have teammates, that's pretty damn good. Also, in the 9th slowest era in NBA since 98. Kobe scored 81 in a basketball game. I'm going to say it again so you can process it. 81 in a basketball game. That's the most points in a single game in history that we have on recorded video. Kevin Durant's career high is 50, 55. You're trying to tell me a guy's a better scorer when I've scored 26 more points than you in a single game. Kobe Bryant is 122 40-point games. That's 3rd all time. Kevin Durant is at 9.
Back to you, Pirate. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, this is not rhythmic gymnastics, so there are no style points. It's do you get the ball in the bucket or not? And Kobe, to get those 35 points, he took 27 shots a game. KD has never taken more than 21 shots a game. He's only got 3 seasons he ever took 20 shots a game. So this is really no slight against Kobe. He's one of the greatest ever, but defense plays a huge part into Kobe's greatness. And we're not talking about that. We're talking about only scoring. So let's look at the fact that KD shot a much higher clip from every single spot on the floor. Free throws. KD is 15th all-time in free throw percentage. He's over 88%. Kobe's 4% lower. 3-point shot. KD shot more 3-pointers and he shot them at 39%. Kobe shot at less than 33%. KD's simply a better pure shooter. Now let's look at the paint. 3 feet and in, Kobe shot 64%, and that's pretty good. But here's the insane part. KD has shot 74% at the basket for his entire career. 74%. That's a full 10% better than Kobe. He's better at the line. He's better from deep. He's better at the basket, and he's better everywhere in between. From 3 to 10 feet, he's 4% better. From 10 to 16 feet, he's 5% better. From 16 feet to 3-point, he's 5% better. So he's literally much more efficient from everywhere on the floor. And a reminder, he's more efficient relative to era as well. Kobe was a great athlete. He's extremely skilled, but KD's just an absolute unicorn. He's a scoring machine. He's 6'11", with a 7'5" wingspan, doing guard things, while also being one of the best shooters ever. It's insane.
I
Go
think when
ahead,
you talk
Casual.
about Kobe Bryant's career numbers as far as efficiency and career points per game, you're being disingenuous because when you understand Kobe being Bryant came in the NBA straight out of geometry class and went to the bench behind Shaq, that affected his field goal percentage. What also affected his field goal percentage was he was 40 years old with a popped Achilles and shot chucking when he should have retired. That hurt his career numbers because when you look at peaks in relative, mid-range, it's still about the same. Mid-range about the same. At the basket, it's about the same. 3, I'll give you that. But Kobe is clearly more skilled. You're not taking into account that Kobe is shooting tougher shots because he is 6'6". Kevin Durant, 7 foot tall. Pirate, how many 60-point games has Kevin Durant scored in his career? If you're a better scorer than me, you've scored 60 before in your career. Got my notes. None. KD has scored 0 60-point games in his career. Kobe Bryant is the most 60-point games in league history after the merger. And to me, if you're the better scorer than me, then let's look at the playoffs. Kobe Bryant has won, when it mattered the most, 2 championships as the clear number 2 scorer, 1 as a 1B, and 2 as the clear number 1 best scorer on his team. Pirate, Durant's had great finals. But how many championships can Kevin Durant come up a year and say, I was the clear best scorer on my team. My scoring gravity took all the attention, and I still got 30. I still got the trophy, and you couldn't do anything about it. He's got 0. Kobe Bryant has 2 championships with a teammate not over 20 points a game.
Round 3.
I mean, once more, he's far more efficient relative to era, people. Relative to era. When you adjust for era, he's still far more efficient, between 5 to 10% from everywhere on the floor. So again, he averaged more while being much more efficient from everywhere on the floor. You want to talk about playoffs? Let's look at playoffs and scoring titles. KD led the playoffs in scoring 5 times. Kobe led it 3 times. Kobe averaged 25 points a game on 54% true shooting in the playoffs for his career. KD averaged 30 points on 60% true shooting. Again, much higher average on much better efficiency and much better relative to era. Kobe had 17 playoff series. He averaged less than 25. KD had 2. KD has 4 scoring titles. Kobe has 2. But on Kobe's 2 titles, they came from volume and necessity. KD's came with efficiency and dominance. Kobe put up 27 shots a game to get those 35 points. So yeah, you're going to get more points when you shoot the ball more. KD has never shot it more than 21 times, let alone 27. And he's only got 3 seasons he ever shot at 20 shots a game. He's got more scoring titles than he's got seasons where he took 20 shots. Kobe shot over 20 shots 13 years. During Kobe's 2 scoring titles, he averaged 43 wins and he won 0 playoff series. During KD's 4 scoring titles, he averaged 53 wins, 7 series victories. He got 2 Western Conference finals and an NBA final. So yeah, I mean, KD just has physical gifts that Kobe doesn't have, and you can't blame him for that. We don't say Muggsy Bogues is one of the best scorers because he's 5'3". Style points don't count.
Again, you're being disingenuous. When Kevin Durant won those scoring titles, he had a guy in Russell Westbrook. Do you know who he is? In that finals in 2012, he had 26 points per game. Kobe's scoring titles, the man had Smush Parker as his running mate. And what's wrong with shot attempts? Wouldn't you want your best scorer to, I don't know, shoot the damn ball? And you keep bringing up efficiency. I want you to bring up the actual efficiency numbers because I've looked at them. Again, mid-range efficiency, it's pretty close. Around the rim, it's pretty close. They all go to Kevin Durant. But again, Kevin Durant is 7 feet tall, so I expect a 7 foot tall forward to have better efficiency from 0 to 20 feet when Kobe Bryant is 6'6" and shooting tougher shots. Yes, he's better from 3, but I think Kobe's the more aggressive scorer. Again, I want my best scorer to be aggressive. There's spots where Kevin Durant is just kind of floating around there and not shooting. Where Kobe Bryant, I know I'm going to get squeezed every single point out of Kobe. He's got better footwork from scoring from the post. Yes, again, Kevin Durant's a better 3-point shooter, but Kobe Bryant is a better bag as far as getting to the rim. You can bring him efficiency again, but you're comparing a 7 foot forward to a 6'6" guard. At the end of the day, you're bringing up the career points per game numbers. I still think you're being disingenuous because it includes when Kobe was 18 off the bench and when Kobe was like 37 with a popped Achilles. But let's look, when you look at the peak, Kobe Bryant's peak numbers are better. Again, I am 35 points per game. I am scoring 81 points. You do not have a 60-point game, and you're trying to tell me you are the better scorer.
All right, you guys put on a hell of a performance in that first topic. Go ahead and run the polls. run a timer, and you guys get over there and vote. You guys know what to do. You know what your job is. Your job is to be objective and to be fair. Don't vote on if KD's your favorite player, or don't vote on Kobe if you think he's the best shooting guard of all time. Vote on who you think made the more logical points, provided the facts to back it up, who also rebutted their opponent's points, who was more persuasive, who had the better delivery, and overall, who was more entertaining and dynamic during this battle. That was a good first topic, y'all. Get over there and vote. And as you guys are doing that, and as I'm waiting for our live judges to come with their votes, let's go ahead and talk about topic 2. We have which is more valuable, and this is going to be a good one, y'all. Which is more valuable, on-ball defense versus off-ball defense? I can't wait to hear the points that you guys make on this. All right, y'all. The polls are up. You have 25 seconds. Go ahead and do your job. And make sure you guys are liking the video too. Y'all don't make me get on that. I'll shut this whole thing down and we won't do anything until we get to a certain amount of likes. Like this damn video. Stop playing, y'all. Let's go. This is the PCL, man. It's the playoffs. This for all the marbles right here. Y'all see this? Y'all see this? Act like y'all excited to be here. Let's go. Topic 2. We got what's more valuable, on-ball defense or off-ball defense? Let's get into it. Pirate, you started the first round off, or the first topic off. So Casual, it's on you to kick things off. Talk to us.
He's probably going to spend his first round talking about how we play off ball a largely percent more time than on ball. But let me say this. The game of basketball is won on the scoreboard. Which team has more points than their opponent? Well, what's a way did you score more points than your opponent? Prevent your opponent from scoring more points. How do you score points in basketball? Ball and basket. So with all that being said, maybe, just maybe, the guy with the most responsibility on defense is the one guarding the damn ball. To me, on ball is more valuable because it's harder. It takes more athleticism. It takes more stamina. It takes more energy. You're at the mercy of the ball handler. This guy can put the ball in the basket, and you need to stay in front of him, or else he is going to put it in the basket. You have more rules against you as far as blocking fouls, hand checking, and all this tic-tac stuff. To me, when you play basketball, who do you put your best athlete on? The perimeter creator. Because you know he has the best opportunity to stopping him. Because you know it's most important to stop the guy with the ball. Your best athlete goes on that guy on the perimeter. Some of the best defensive players ever, not at the rim, are known as clamp gods. What does it mean to be a clamp god? I'm in front of you on an island. You're not moving. To me, on-ball defense is more valuable because it's harder and you're guarding the ball, which it takes to score.
Let's go, Pirate. Talk to us.
All right. Yeah, I'd say off-ball defense is definitely more valuable because of the basic geometry and rules of the game dictate that the basketball will always be a game of movement in space. Therefore, defense will always be predicated on controlling that movement in space. Those goals are primarily achieved via off-ball defense. One guy has the ball, 4 guys don't. Evidence in both the most impactful individual defenders and also the most impactful team defenses all control off-ball movement in space. Let's look at the movement. Teams average 300 passes in a game. The ball is passed from player to player far more than other sports. Simply locking down the ball handler doesn't end anything in basketball because good teams are looking for the pass. When you start watching basketball, you hyperfixate on the ball handler. Then you realize that most of the game is happening off ball. One guy has the ball, 4 guys don't. Basketball is about the next pass, the next cut, and stopping the next pass and the next cut. Creating easy buckets is the name of the game. Most made shots are assisted in the NBA. Assisted shots are much more efficient than unassisted shots. They're between 5 to 8% more efficient depending on where on the floor. And these assisted shots are created through motion, back cuts, rolls, spot ups, mostly what's taking place off ball. Steals in the passing lane, controlling the paint, impeding motion to the paint, rotations, help defense, flying out to open shooters. These are all things that rack up stops and actually win games. So yeah, the off ball is where the action happens in basketball.
Round 2. Let's do it.
Well, I think action happens most on the ball because, well, where does the action happen? When the guy has the ball in his hands. Now, people can move off the ball, but not every basketball team and player is running around like Steph Curry. There's going to be times where you're guarding a guy who's sitting on the corner. You get a break because he is not moving. So to me, again, I always say this. When we talk about what's greater, what's better, what's more valuable, we have to talk about the greater, more valuable moments, and that's the playoffs. And in a 7-game series where matchups are the most important, one of the absolute best matchups a team could have as an advantage is I got a guy for your guy. I got a guy that at the top of the key, I can lock your guy down and slow him down from getting to the basket and getting his shot off. That's the most important matchup. I got an OG Anunoby for you. I got a Drew Holiday for you. I got a Kawhi Leonard for you. That's the most important basketball matchup in defense in the playoffs. Because if you don't, I'm going to hunt you down, Pirate. I'm going to play one-on-one. You keep talking about all those passes. Why do you make the pass? For the best one-on-one advantage. I'm going to hunt your weak defender, and you can't do anything about it. Bad on-ball defenders. It's so valuable because if you're so bad on-ball in the playoffs, you get yanked from the game. How many bad off-ball defenders are just getting yanked from playoff games? I can name you a ton off the top of my head who are just so bad one-on-one they get yanked from the fourth quarter in the playoffs because they can't stay in front of somebody. Why a lot of off-ball and backdoor cuts happen? Because that guy could not stay in front of his man on the ball.
Back to you, Pirate.
Yeah, talk about motion and passing because that's the key to success in basketball. History is riddled with teams that once they advanced their passing and motion, they won the championships. From Wilt to Jordan's Bulls to the Spurs to the Warriors, going from the least passes to the most passes, winning a championship. Stopping that is what stops a good offense. So let's look at space. And it's not point of attack defenders that are leading charges to the finals. It's guys who control the paint. The space around the basket will always be more valuable than any other spot on the floor. The vast majority of Defensive Player of the Year winners and candidates are those who control the space around the basket. Just look at Wemby this last year. He's a perfect example. His on-ball defense was subpar. But the sheer fact that a big man's ability to protect the area around the basket, to rotate, to help is so valuable, he comes in second in Defensive Player of the Year. And it's the same with most defensive players of the year. It's usually not going to an elite point of attack guy. It's usually going to go to a big guy who controls the area around the paint. Outside of the paint, what's the most efficient shot? It's the corner three. And 90% of corner threes are assisted. They aren't defended by locking up the guy in the corner. The best defenses that slow down the corner three are those that protect the paint and are able to rotate and swing out. The best defense is what stops the best offense. And time again, the best offenses are built on passing the ball and exploiting the paint. Isolation ball does not win championships. Therefore, that defense.
Again, I try to say it last round with this passing thing. You know how those pass out to the corners happen with all your stats. It's the most assisted shot in the NBA by breaking down the point of attack defender. If that point of attack defender stays strong, that shot's irrelevant. You talk about the rim protection. If there's point of attack, he ain't getting to the rim. Okay? When you're running a fast break, what do they say? They don't say stop the corner. They say stop the ball. Meet that guy. Get in his way. To me, as a LeBron guy, I watch the Lakers. They have this guy named Anthony Davis. One of the best, if not the best, rim protector in the game. They still got cooked defensively by the Denver Nuggets. Why? Because they couldn't stay in front of Jamal Murray. They couldn't have a guy one-on-one better on the box against Nikola Jokic. But Reeves, D'Lo couldn't stay in front of Jamal Murray. Why were the Celtics so effective against Luka and Kyrie? Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown. They're good off-ball defenders too, but they can meet Luka and Kyrie right there, not let him get to a spot and push him uncomfortable. And to me, when I'm in the playoffs, the most valuable position, I want the best point of attack defender to slow down their best player. Because if I slow down your best player, I have the best chance to win a basketball game. If I slow down your best player, because he's responsible for your most points. So if I'm out in front of him and stopping him from getting his shot, no passes.
Back on you, Pirate.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is that isolation shots are typically they're going to be 8 to 10% at least less efficient than passes shots off a pass. So, like, frankly, you're better off having a guy shooting up isolation shots against a bad on-ball defender than giving up open looks to the basket. So now let's think about a little bit of physics here. All right, distance from the ball increases a defender's defensive radius. When you're defending the ball, your defensive radius is essentially just your wingspan. All right. A defender that is a half-second pass away from the ball has essentially over twice the defensive radius space that he can cover than the guy who's on the ball. And that manifests itself in a lot of the most productive ways in basketball. Look at steals. Around 70% of steals come off ball. They come from the passing lane and off-ball steals, and you have a greater chance of scoring on those steals because the defender is often towards the basket. Half the blocks come from help defenders, and especially in this era where we're playing more.
Yeah. All right. Keep going.
Win games.
Yo, Pirate.
Yeah.
You chimed out for like the last 20 seconds.
Oh, did I really? Damn.
Yeah. So we didn't get the last 20 seconds of that round, but we do have to run the polls. So,
man,
let's go ahead and get them up. You guys go over there and vote. And let us know who you felt won that last round or that last topic, which is more valuable, on-ball defense or off-ball defense. Make sure you like the video while you're doing it. Make sure you subscribe while you're doing it. And make sure you become a member. And if you're having any sort of time making a tough decision on what you should do, just join that Hall of Fame tier like Jerreality, Hutton Gilgores, Arch, Kendall Daniels, Multi-Kenny, Cobra Son of Raditz, and Dorian Clayton. Don't be indecisive. Be a Hall of Famer. Over here at Player's Choice, as you can see with the shirt I got on, only winning matters. And that's why we're playing for this belt right here. One of these guys has a legit shot at running the table and winning this belt. And we need you guys to help us make this happen. I got the judges in the back end sending through their votes right now, but I need you guys to go to the poll. It's about 20 seconds left. Go to the poll and vote on who you felt made the more compelling argument. All right, here we go. Here we go. The votes are almost in. 3, 2, and 1. The poll's coming to a close. All right, y'all. We have one more topic in this battle. Once again, this is the last battle of the day. There will be no chill in OG the Beast next. But we will treat this as the best battle of the day right now. In our last topic, we have which Mike D'Antoni offense was more high-powered? The 2007 Suns versus the 2018 Rockets. It's back on you, Pirate. Your time will start whenever you start.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious the Suns were much more high-powered offense, putting up a historic offense that was much more explosive relative to their era. They were also much more well-rounded and fundamentally sound. In a fairly defensive league with multiple teams that were putting up defensive ratings below 100, the Suns came out and broke the offensive record with 114. And they didn't just lead the league in offense by a little bit. They were leaps and bounds ahead of the competition. So let's be clear on that difference, all right? Yes, both the Suns and the Rockets had the #1 offense for their respective years. But the gap between the Suns and the #2 offense that year was massive. The Rockets had 5 other teams within the margin that the Suns separated themselves from the entire league on offense. The Suns were almost 8 points above league average on offense, offensive rating, which the Rockets simply can't claim to do. Clearly, the Rockets had a high-powered offense in a year that high-powered offenses were a dime a dozen. The Suns were just as explosive in a league not conducive to offense. We have to remember there were very different rules in play. In 2011, the restricted area was enlarged, making it more difficult to block shots and protect the paint. Hand checking was restricted in 2013. In 2015, the clear path foul was clarified to make it easier to draw fouls. So, yeah, despite these defensive challenges, the Suns had an offense years ahead of their time. They dominated a much more defensive league and were obviously designed to be.
It's on you, Casual. Sorry, Pirates. Your time is up. Round 1, Casual, talk to us.
This is a funny debate because they both had the same head coach, but I think the Rockets were the more high-powered offense because in D'Antoni's second go-around, he understood best way to win games is to not only push the pace like the 7 seconds or less Suns, but jack up every single three you can. They were the Suns on steroids. Pyro loves efficiency. He already told you about it. Yeah, the Suns were ahead of your time, but just because you're ahead of your time doesn't mean you're actually better. Yes, the Suns did lead the league in field goal, three-point, free throw, assist, and offensive rating. But when you look at the Rockets, 42 threes attempted in a game. To the Suns, 24. 42 threes games. I'm shooting 20 more threes than you. I'm shooting you off the court, and you can't do anything about it. 40% of my points are coming from threes. By the way, you want to talk about efficiency, both teams had the same true shooting, but whatever. The Rockets had a 65-17 record. That's first in a conference. First in a conference, by the way, with the most talented team ever, the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant, a team that won 73 games 2 years before. The Suns, as great as their offense was, they were just second in the West. The Rockets had 6 double-digit scores in total. Their lead man scored 30 points per game. They had 2 other guys score 18 points per game, whereas the Suns only had 5 double-digit scores. Their lead guy had 10 less than the Rockets' lead guy. And when you talk about lead guy, James Harden was the MVP of the league. He averaged more combined points and assists than Steve Nash. I don't think this is close.
Back to you, Pirate. Round 2. Hold on, Pirate.
You're not talking.
Start back over. Start back over. You were muted. Your time starts.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you good.
All right, yeah. Casual is bringing up record, which factors in defense. We are not talking about defense or overall team. We're talking about strictly offense. Strictly offense. And the Suns were lights out from 3. They shot over 40% from 3 while leading the league in attempts. It seems quite clear the Suns offense not only crushed the more defensive 2007, but were perfectly suited for later years. The Suns and the Rockets actually had an identical true shooting of 59%, but the Suns did it in a league that averaged only 54%. The Suns blew away the league in true shooting. They were number 1 by far. The Rockets didn't even lead the league in true shooting their year. So the Suns were clearly more explosive relative to era and the rules they played under. But I think it's also clear they were a much more fundamentally sound offense that would be far more likely to transfer into 2018 than the Rockets would be to transfer into 2007. The Suns were much more well-balanced. They had more top-end players, more diverse offense. They spread the ball. They were less reliant on referees. The Rockets were pretty close to a one-man show on offense. As Harden goes, so the Rockets go. But with the Suns, Nash led the charge, but Amari, Marion, and the supporting cast made a much more diverse threat. The Rockets were very dependent on the refs and fouls calls. To be clear, while the Rockets were 3rd in free throw attempts, the Suns were 30th. The Suns put up all those points without looking to the refs at all. Where the Rockets, let's be honest, Harden crying to the refs was a big factor, and history has shown that there's some temporary exploitation of the rules at play there that doesn't translate like a record.
Dude, I'm about to lose this debate because everyone's eating up what he says. All he's doing is lie, not listening to what I said. You said they were deeper and more balanced than the Rockets. I just told you the Rockets had more double-digit scores than the Suns, so that's a lie. You said they're one-man show. That's also a lie because they had 2 18-point-per-game scores. The Suns did as well, but it's more impressive that the Rockets had 2 18-point-per-game scores because their top guy had 30 points, more points, rebounds combined than Steve Nash did that year, by the way. And it's like, bro, and you always bring up, I love when you do this. You bring up relative to era. Do you ever take into account volume? They shot 20 more damn threes in them. Do you ever take into account more volume? And when we talk about this Rockets offense, this is a Rockets offense that was designed, the best offense we've ever seen, that nearly outplayed the most talented offense in NBA history. Chris Paul doesn't go down. They damn sure go win that NBA championship. I think this Rockets team, now some of that has to do with defense, but this Rockets team was built to win a title. Whereas the Suns team, you can't say that because in 07, they didn't get out the second round. Yes, they missed Amari Stoudemire for a game, but it was a 2-2 series. Who knows? The Rockets were 3-2. And by the way, you want to talk about the lead guy, you want to go ask the coach. James Harden's better than Steve Nash. Go ask the coach. You know what Mike D'Antoni said? That James Harden is the best playmaker you ever seen. So my lead guy not only can pass like you, but he can rack up the more scoring. He's just going to create more advantages.
All right, round 3. Let's do it, Pirate. Bring us home.
I mean, maybe you just weren't old enough to watch the Suns in 07, but having more guys who average 11 points doesn't make up for the fact that spread between Nash and Marion and Amari, that's more high-tiered talent on the Suns. And yeah, they shot 40% from three, putting up 24 in 07. Anyone who knows the game knows that if they were playing in 2018 under those rules, the Suns were ideally suited to put up more threes and at a much higher clip than the Rockets. Now, the fact is, this reliance on threes you got for the Rockets, that's an Achilles heel. All right, the Rockets also had an exceptionally high dependence on the highly streaky three-point shooting shot. More than half of the Rocket shots were three-pointers, and they weren't crazy accurate. They only shot 36% as a team. That's a highly volatile recipe. And we all saw the results when they missed 923 straight threes in an elimination game. All right, the Suns, on the other hand, were excellent from three at 40%, but they also had a great inside presence with Amari. They had the pick and roll. They had middies. They just had a much more well-rounded, less volatile offense. The Suns passed the ball. They were number 1 in assists. The Rockets didn't. The Rockets were 26th in assists. So all told, the Suns were just a more balanced, less predictable, more reliable offense that crushed a vastly more defensive league in ways that the Rockets didn't. The Rockets fit in to 2018 with quite a few teams that were at the same level. The Suns completely destroyed the record books.
Dude, again, you say the same points for 4 minutes. All you do is lie. I just told you that the Rockets had more scores. So how the hell are the Suns deeper? And by the way, how are they deeper when the Suns did not have a secondary ball handler? The biggest advantage to the Rockets is they had a secondary ball handler to run the offense if Harden took nights off. That's the whole point why they brought in CP3, a 19-8 guy. Who was the secondary ball handler facilitator for the Suns? Let me know. By the way, how are they better suited for this offense when their second best player and their leading scorer couldn't shoot a three? Tell me, how are they better suited for this day and age? That Suns team is not shooting 43s a game. Again, all you're doing is lying, and tell me that this team is deeper. And with this efficiency stuff, I told you, at the end of the day, the same true shooting. And I'm shooting at a much higher volume. Of course, my efficiency is going to be a little deeper because I'm shooting 20 more threes than you. They were not built for this era because they were not deeper. My first, second, third best player can all shoot 10 to 15 threes a night. Your guys can't. So what are we talking about? And again, my offensive rating's a little bit higher than yours. It's 115, 114. Again, adjusted for error, it's a little different. But I'm shooting 20 more threes than you. I'm your offense. I'm your pace. I'm running the same speed as you, and yet I'm putting up 20 more threes. And this is threes or better than twos. So if I'm shooting this many threes, I'm producing more points, and I'm running at a bit of faster pace. I am the better offense. I have the better lead man. I have the better two-man, and so on.
All right, y'all. That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Let's get the timer up. Let's get to the polls. And you guys, let us know who actually won this debate. I need objectiveness and I need fairness, and I need you guys to do your job. Go over to these polls and vote. In the meantime, y'all, in case you just got here and you haven't been around, there will be no battle after this. Chilltown versus OG the Beast has been scratched. Chill will advance. OG the Beast wasn't able to make it due to family and personal reasons. So let's keep OG the Beast in our prayers. Unfortunately, this had to come during week 1 of the PCL playoffs, and Chill gets away scotch-free. Shout out to Chill. All right, y'all. We have about 40 more seconds left. You guys go ahead and make sure that you vote. The live judges are chiming in right now. And so we will see here in a second who won each round. This was a good day through and through. Mars versus Jack Cody. Mars put out the win. Penn versus Hayes. Hayes was able to pull out the upset. And right now we have the 8 seed Pirate versus 9 seed Casual. And this is for all the marbles right now. We got 10 more seconds left. Go get your vote in. All right, fellas, here we go. Here we go. All right, the votes have concluded. Fellas, how did you feel today? How were these 3 topics for you?
Good, man. I love the topics. I thought we got some real nice topics, and yeah, no, I mean, I had fun.
All right. Just waiting for the live votes right now. It appears in that 3rd round. Casual, you did take the chat vote. Fellas, outside of you guys, who do you predict will win the PCL?
No idea.
You don't have a favorite?
I'm rooting for Dion. So.
Oh, okay. Shout out Dion.
For Dion.
Yeah, I mean,
if I lose to Pirate, I'm rooting for Pirate. I'm one of those guys. If I lose to you, I'm your biggest fan now.
Thanks, man. Yeah, Casual. I got, like I said, we never crossed paths, but I think you're pretty on point. So I feel like it was a shame this was a first round matchup.
This was a hard first round match.
It is what it is. So
it's like when the Lions and the Rams played in the wild card. I'm like, this is a divisional round. I got Stafford, Goff in Detroit.
Yeah.
Should be in the divisional. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, so I feel sorry for just the audience for being cheated out of someone going forward here.
All right, y'all. The votes are in from the chat, the live votes, and from our judges as well. So here's what it looks like. Round 1, that topic was the better overall score, KD versus Kobe. With the 3-0 sweep, Pirates are taking that one home. Topic 2, which is more valuable, on-ball defense or off-ball defense? With a 2-1 lead, Pirate, you are taking home that round. And last but not least, which Mike D'Antoni offense was more high-powered? The 07 Suns or the 18 Rockets with a 2-1 lead. And the sweep today, Pirate, you are still in contention to take this belt home.
All right, and just to reiterate, like honestly, I think Casual. I think myself, I was screwed, but I think Casual was screwed out of it. I believe he is most definitely one of the better debaters in this field, and that was a good debate, man. That was really my funnest one of the PCL so far. So absolutely,
I think Pirate got the edge. I think Pirate got the edge, but I got swept. Damn, swept judges. Damn, did I not make a point?
The chat went with Harden and the Rockets. They went with the fat suit. They went with the Trillburgers. Come on, man.
I lost to the Suns. I couldn't get the 3rd round, dude. That's That's terrible. I'm not saying I should have won the whole thing, but dude, give me a round. Like that's bad.
I think it was a sweep, but I think I honestly think it was one of those ones where it was like hovering. I don't think I blew him out at all. I think it was like a small margin type.
I'll take the L.
That was a great debate, man. You're a great debater. I didn't appreciate being called a liar. I don't appreciate being called a liar, but I understand.
You did lie though. You didn't lie.
I didn't lie. These are
You didn't lie.
perceptions, man. Everything I
It's
stated is
subjective, though. Yeah,
a
it's
fact.
subjective.
Eh,
It's subjective.
Yeah, I didn't state any numbers or facts that don't exist. But it's perception. It's perception.
Nah, but Pirates is tough, bro. Pirate is tough.
All right, y'all.
Thank
Well,
you, bro.
appreciate you guys for coming through. Pirate, we will see you next week. Casual. Hopefully, we'll see you soon on the panel, my man.
Thank you. I appreciate you
right,
guys
y'all.
even inviting me to this whole thing too.
Oh yeah, for sure. You earned it, and maybe we'll see you in PCL season 2.
See.
All right, fellas. Yo, Pirate.
Hey, Ron.
What's up?
Ron. I traded in the McDonald's Wi-Fi for the Trap House Wi-Fi. Now it's on. Now it's fucking on.
Hey, y'all in trouble now. Y'all in trouble. All right, Pirate. Dub meat fish. All right, y'all. This is who advanced today. Mars packed up Jack Cody 3-0, and he advances as the number 1 seed. Hayes pulled out our first upset in the PCL, a number 11 seed beating a number 6 seed. He won 2-1. He took the last 2 rounds. And then last but not least, Pirate versus Casual. Pirate came and cleaned up all 3 rounds, and he will be advancing to as an 8th seed. So as of right now, we in the next round, the round of 8, we have number 1 Mars, number 11 Hayes, number 8 Pirate, and number 5 Chill, who gets to skate away scotch-free. So shout out to Chill. Maybe he deserved a bye. Who knows? But on Sunday, this is what we're looking at. You guys pull up on time. We will be starting at 6 Eastern time. And on Sunday, we have number 4 Swiper versus number 13 ZZ. They'll kick off the day. Then you have number 2, I repeat, number 2, Dion from Ohio versus number 15 M-Tail. Then we got number 7 Elder Rufus versus number 10 John D. And capping off the night, we got number 4 Big Ox Bob versus number 14 Gifted. Sunday should be a good day. We will catch you guys on Sunday for all 4 of these matchups. And ultimately, we'll get a step closer to who's going to bring home this very belt right here and the big cash prize as well. But until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow on the panel. We will be doing the all-time shooting guards. So that should be an interesting episode. Until then, y'all be easy, and we'll catch y'all soon.